Good morning, beautiful people. So one of you have sent me a link to a video which contained the following question. Roll the clip.
Is it against the law to share somebody's personal address on the internet? For example, a police officer.
So the question, as stated, really is, can you disclose this information, such as the address of a police officer or somebody else, to the general public? Now, the point of law here is whether this amounts to the misuse of private information. This is a distinct tort or wrong since 2014 in the Vidal Hall against Google case, which was in the High Court in 2014 and went to the Court of Appeal in 2015. It's different to a breach of confidence, which if you tell someone something in confidence and then they leak that information to someone else, there was a three-part test for the breach of confidence. So we'll deal with that first. First of all, does that information have the necessary quality of confidence about it? Secondly, was the information imparted to the other person in circumstances importing an obligation of confidence? Think you're giving private information to your lawyer or your dentist or someone like that. And thirdly, has there been an unauthorized use of that information which causes detriment to that party that had the necessary quality of confidence with the information? Now, jumping straight to the test to distinguish the misuse of private information, this is a two-part test, or at least it is now. Firstly, is whether or not the information is that which the claimant has a reasonable expectation of privacy. And secondly, if so, does the claimant's right to privacy under Article 8 of ECHR outweigh the defendant's right to free speech under Article 10. So cutting to the point and then giving you some examples, my view of whether it would be right to disclose a police officer's address to the general public, in almost every circumstance, the answer is going to be no. You shouldn't do that because it probably would amount to the misuse of private information. Of course, never say never. There may be some very narrow circumstances where that might be right. But as I say, as a very, very broad brush, I would say don't do it. Now let me give you some examples. First of all, there was a very recent case with Reed against Katie Price of 2020. This was also for the misuse of private information and the statutory duty. In this case, essentially, Katie Price disclosed videos of her ex-husband, Mr. Reed, who was a well-known cage fighter. The videos showed him in various activities, and Katie Price had given undertakings not to disclose these videos, but she did so anyway to numerous individuals. At the time, Katie Price was bankrupt, and her defence, in fact, in that case, was struck out for failure to comply with directions. Also, her solicitor ceased to act for her at an early stage, and it appears that she didn't really engage with the proceedings much more after that. The claim was limited to £25,000, and that's what was awarded. Other claims for the misuse of private information, which predate the definitive case of 2014, include Mosley and News Group's Newspapers Limited, which again was the publication of a covert video recording. The award in this case was £60,000. Another case for the disclosure of covert recordings was Cooper and Turrell in 2011. The award in this case was for £30,000. Another case against a newspaper from 2012 was when a child had their photograph published several times without the mother's consent. The award in that case was £15,000, and this list goes on. So my broad conclusion with respect to police officers' addresses, in almost all cases, my view is that that is going to be the misuse of private information. And I come to that conclusion because the address of the police officer is that which the police officer is almost certainly not going to want to be made public and ought to be private. It's certainly not information that takes part in their everyday role, but when one were to strictly apply the law, it will be this test. First of all, is the information in question over which the claimant has a reasonable expectation of privacy? Yes to the first. But secondly, does the claimant's right to privacy outweigh the defendant's rights under Article 10 for the right to the freedom of expression? So as I always say, every case turns on its own facts, but I hope that gives you a broad brush answer. So thank you for sending me the video, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.